to stop and take a few moments to talk about how the law impacts women in different ways. It's extremely important that you come here for the message.
The idea for a Women's Work Injury Symposium was conceived less than a year ago, and we are so honored by the caliber of speakers that are participating in this unique and important event. As applicants' attorneys, injured workers seek our assistance, usually as a last resort when their medical treatment is denied, when they can't get physical therapy or medications or surgery. Injured workers seek our assistance when they're not receiving temporary disability benefits while off work. And injured workers seek our assistance when they've lost their jobs and aren't receiving adequate compensation for their permanent disability. Today, women represent half of the workforce. This is a significant increase to the number of women in the workforce from 4 decades ago. When a mother is injured at work, the entire family's financial and emotional stability is jeopardized. A study funded by the Commission on Health and Safety and Workers' Compensation found that after controlling for the types of jobs and the hours worked, injury risk through the age of 64 declines for men, but disturbingly increases for women.
I'm excited to be here. It's always amazing to be in a room full of women, and I thought about my mom in particular, who I grew up as a seamstress. She was a seamstress. And I think about the work ethic she instilled in us. When we talk about barriers, I think that's, we're workhorses. How many of you multitask? Not only are you single moms, but how many boards do you sit on? How many businesses are you running? How many family issues are you dealing with on a regular basis? You don't stop and think about it like, oh God, I have so much to do. Who do I give this to? You just add it on and you get it done somehow. You put your head down and you don't complain about it. I had one woman at Elisea who was there for 30 years, a month away from being able to retire, who got laid off because she was on disability for carpal tunnel syndrome from scanning and swiping our cards every day in the dining hall 3 times a day. We put, students don't realize, we put all these keys on there. We put all these little keychains on there and we hand them over, and so that repetitive motion with that weight becomes an issue. But they told her, you know what, no, you are just old, and that's an issue of being old and not an issue of the job. So I think that needs to be eliminated. So I think we need to be pushing for more and more of that and more awareness amongst my peers to say, hey, this is important, and it's not just because it's a woman issue, it's because these are women who are breadwinners and raising our kids and our leaders and putting into the economy.
We know that women are at the highest risk for upper extremity repetitive strain injuries. Part of it has to do with our size. And did you know that the desks that were provided are actually designed and were calculated based upon the U.S. Marines from 1950 something, no joke. So all of the standard heights of desks and chairs and everything else are not meant for women, are they? But we're still working under conditions that are uniquely disadvantageous to us, purely from not making these changes as more of the women are entering the workforce.
Protective gear is all made to fit men, and so often women are at greater risk for injuring themselves because the protective gear does not fit. Drug studies that are done, and how they're suddenly realizing that the effects of medication have a different impact on women than men, and it's not a matter of dosage and so forth. It's just body chemistry, how we're made up, and that there's never been these gender. Different gender studies. Women participate in the studies, but you look at Group A and Group B, it's not men, women. Also, most drug tests, laboratory tests, are done on white male rats.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Women make up 43% of the workers' compensation claims filed. And you can see that the majority of claims are among women aged 25 to 54. Fatalities overall are going down in California. Fatalities among women have been increasing since 2004. However, in 2009, assaults and violent acts surpassed motor vehicle crashes as the most common cause of occupational fatality among women.
Women are less likely to report an injury out of fear of losing a job. Women are more concentrated in lower paying jobs, which are usually more injury prone, the ones that require more physical labor. Farm workers, spend long hours doing hard labor in difficult weather conditions while exposed to harmful chemicals. 50% of hospitality workers are women. These are hotel and waitress jobs where these women are made to stand on their feet all day and have an incredibly high rate of back injuries. 61% of education workers, 72% of healthcare workers are women. Two highly stressful occupations. For nurses, they have a very physically demanding job while being exposed to bacteria. Some of those bacteria can be fatal. Grocery store cashiers, for example, have an extraordinary rate of developing carpal tunnel syndromes. 30% of manufacturing jobs are women who work in assembly lines that produce repetitive strain injuries.
My trauma, my injuries are not from slipping, tripping, or falling, any of that. It's simply from swinging a hammer and wearing tools for 27 years. And then we had to fight to get my case won in court because the insurer was denying me. Yeah, denying me. What do I do now? I can't work. I still need more surgeries in my hands, carpal tunnel, obviously, back surgery, if I can get that done. But, you know, I'm stuck with no way to support myself in the next few months, because my 3 years is up in a month or two, and then I'll have no income.
Aging men actually don't have as many injuries. It's because they move into jobs with fewer hazards, and women end up in keep the jobs they got, and the hazards are still there. But we have many workers who have met that 2-year cap who are without any income at all and are still waiting for their surgeries to be approved.
Right. So women who don't go through a workers' comp claim or who aren't able to fully actualize from their employer and the insurance company what is deserved to her still have to make ends meet. And we have a variety of social programs that are designed to do that. And while I support those programs, we'll continue to support and push programs like food stamps and Medi-Cal and CalWorks, and we can go down the line. That just means that we're passing the burden of being able to take care of people from those who are part of that contract that the worker makes with his or her employer, puts in service, the insurance company that has been paid into that is supposed to make a person whole, and instead we taxpayers. We complain about the budget every year, having to decide where we're putting money, where that money should be in, but a lot of the problem, a lot of strains on budget have to do with the fact that we don't hold employers and insurance companies responsible.
My injury was a result of repetitive work, coming up and down out of that truck, which has low-level steps, delivering heavy packages, sometimes coming down out of the truck with the package in one arm and trying to grab the handrail with the other.
And as someone who has done a lot of factory work in my life, working my way through college, I understand issues that you deal with and the clients that you're working on behalf of, repetitive injuries, gender disparity, and how that plays into what we need to do in the legislature as it relates to policy issues and education. I see us as partners.
As injuries to women increase in severity, the psychological impact increases due to not only the nature of the injury, but the women not being able to return to work, loss of income, their inability to fulfill mother-wife roles, and the loss of identity.
The attack on me by my coworker was horrific. Cedric compounded my injuries through delays and denials of medical care recommended by its own selected medical experts. There has been little understanding in my case as to how workplace violence affects women, and there has been almost no sensitivity to the after effects and unnecessary and unacceptable delays and denials of medical care needed to recover.
And here we are. November 6th was the date that Sedgwick denied her that treatment. We still don't have a decision on a request for authorization for treatment that was marked as crisis intervention and urgent by her doctor. This is not acceptable. We need to stop this from happening.
So it really is
very important that we be strong and voice our concerns loudly. And of course, with the applicants' attorneys, a group that really is committed to helping injured workers, we need to keep forming those alliances and those bonds. And your stories and the situations that you have been through, or that are the people your clients are critically important that they're brought forward, because I can assure you that the big corporate interests make sure that their voice is heard up here in Sacramento. But the voice of the people, the voice of the little person, and I mean little only in the context that there isn't a whole lot of money or power behind a single voice, but there's a huge amount of power and voice behind a group of people, working people. Most of us are working people. And it's very important that you continue to have that voice heard.